Bernie Sanders supporters such as myself have been saying all along that there's a strong media bias against him, and we were correct to break out our tinfoil hats because a new study confirms just what we've been yelling about. So the Tyndall report found that the ratio with which ABC's World News Tonight covers Donald Trump to Bernie Sanders is astounding. So for the year of 2015, Trump was given 81 minutes of coverage, while Bernie Sanders was given 20 seconds of coverage. That's less than a ratio of 81 to 1. Again, that's less than 81 to 1 for two candidates who have an equal amount of support from their party. Now, when you compare CBS, NBC, ABC, the big three, well, CBS Evening News gave Bernie Sanders a total of 6.4 minutes in the year of 2015. NBC Nightly News gave Bernie Sanders a total of 2.9 minutes. And again, ABC World News, 0.3 minutes. Now, when you add this all up, it's about 10 minutes of total Bernie Sanders coverage for the year of 2015. Now, when you juxtapose that with Donald Trump's total minutes, well, he had 234 minutes of total coverage. That is more than 23 times that of Bernie Sanders. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So the overall findings of this report is that Trump has received more network coverage than all the Democratic candidates combined and accounts for 27% of all campaign coverage this year. That's more than 1/4. Now, when it comes to the other candidates, Jeb Bush, who is failing, he received a total of 56 minutes. Ben Carson, a total of 54 minutes. Marco Rubio, even 22 minutes. Now, when you look at candidates who aren't running, Joe Biden, well, he has received a total of 56 minutes. So let me reiterate that to you. Joe Biden, just the speculation that he would potentially run, well, that galvanized the media to cover him for 56 minutes all year, while Bernie Sanders got a total of 10 minutes. The individual who has a very good chance of pulling off a political upset because he's currently leading in New Hampshire, well, he was given 10 minutes of coverage. So the question that we all instinctively want to ask is, why? Why is there a media bias against Bernie Sanders? And I have a couple of answers for you. So first and foremost, before I get to that, I want to look at the true powers of the media. So a really popular political science study by Iyengar and Kinder found that media are an institution that is so powerful that they can either propel a candidate's campaign by legitimizing him, or they can actually effectively kill off a candidate's campaign by basically ignoring him or her. Now, the way that they do this is going to be contingent upon the amount of coverage that they give to candidates. So they can legitimize the campaign of a candidate just by covering him or her excessively, and they can delegitimize or invalidate a candidate's campaign by not covering him or her at all. So there are two reasons why they cover Donald Trump way more than Bernie Sanders. Now, the first and foremost is really simple. Well, the media are driven by a war for eyeballs, and because more viewers equals more money, they opt for entertaining news rather than news that is meant to inform us. And since Trump is entertaining and gives them a ton of sound bites every single week because he says really idiotic things, they love him. He's making them money, and by doing this, they've inadvertently legitimized his campaign and made him a viable or the most viable candidate. It's no surprise that the candidate with the most coverage is doing the best. Even though he says buffoonish things, well, he gets the most coverage, so people then internalize his campaign as one that is legitimate based on the amount of coverage he receives. Hence the reason why he's running away in the polls. It's very simple. Now, the second reason why Donald Trump gets way more coverage, 23 times more coverage than Bernie Sanders, well, it's sad, but the media establishment, much like the political establishment, is in bed with corporate interests. They benefit from the fact that people buy candidates and the fact that political PACs buy candidates. Now, Bernie Sanders' anti-corruption message and desire to get money out of politics, well, that is something that is directly harmful to the bottom line of media. It is a direct threat to the status quo. So covering Bernie Sanders is literally against the interests of the media because he's an individual who threatens their profit margins. So that's not something they want to do. Furthermore, they also don't have an incentive to cover him because Bernie Sanders doesn't have a political PAC. So he's not going to be contributing to their bottom line because political PACs, which buy a ton of negative ads for candidates, well, they're not going to be doing that for Bernie Sanders. So they have zero incentive to cover him, and they actually have an incentive to kill off Bernie Sanders' campaign. And they can easily do that, like they've done in the past, by just not covering a candidate. So I'm not making this up. Les Moonves, the CEO of CBS, recently stated that Trump makes money for his company, and super PACs, even though they're bad for America, they're great for CBS. And a candidate like Bernie Sanders, who not only wants to ban super PACs, but who doesn't have one, means that Bernie Sanders ain't doing anything for CBS and other news networks. So since Bernie Sanders won't benefit them and will actually harm them, well, this is why they want to kill off his campaign. This is why there's a media bias against Bernie Sanders. And this is also why the Democratic establishment wants to kill off Bernie Sanders' campaign too. He directly threatens the interests of top Democratic donors. So this is why you see really weird debate schedules. This is why we have a debate the Saturday before Christmas. This is why we have a debate in January on a Sunday during major football games. It's because they want to limit the reach of his message, because by doing this, it will be more conducive to a Hillary win, which will be great for Democratic donors who want to buy the party. It'll be great for Wall Street. So there's a bias because Bernie Sanders threatens the status quo. I don't think I'm telling Bernie Sanders supporters anything new. We already knew this, but it's shocking to some people because they can't comprehend why Donald Trump would be covered more than Bernie Sanders, but it's really easy. But the fact that Bernie Sanders is still doing substantially better than many candidates, even though there's basically been a media blackout against him, proves that his message is resonating. I mean, the Democratic Party, they're terrified that people are going to like what Bernie Sanders has to say. The media are terrified that Bernie Sanders is going to say things that people like. And guess what? People are starting to like what Bernie Sanders has to say. He's not number one right now because people don't know about him. The more people that learn about Bernie Sanders, the more people that will support Bernie Sanders. And if they actually did cover Bernie Sanders as much as they covered Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton wouldn't even have a chance because his policies are more in line with Democratic voters. He is more in line with what most voters, the average voters, including Republican voters, want, especially when it comes to issues such as campaign finance reform. So the media bias is sick. Our media institution is completely sick and corrupt. And the incentives that drive media behavior are counter to what is conducive to a representative democracy. So this is sickening, but it's not surprising to Bernie Sanders supporters.